So I went on our Google reviews, which I hadn't been on in a long time, and discovered we had a 1-star review.
Oh no.
Oh man.
And it was because someone had been following one of our trucks, Cody. Maybe not me. It was one of the bin trucks, but it did describe a truck as having a purple sticker on the side, so I can confirm it wasn't mine.
Hmm.
Um, and a piece of garbage had flown out of the truck and landed in the ditch.
Oh goodness. One piece
So,
of garbage.
well, it said several pieces of garbage. It didn't say one, but it
Hmm.
gave the license plate number and a description of the driver and a whole bunch of shit. And I thought, well, I don't really want this 1-star review here for some garbage that someone shouldn't have put in the fucking bin anyways. Um, so I looked up. There was a little thing there that said how to get rid of, or do you disagree with this review? So I clicked it, and it gave a list of 15 options or something, or 10 options, and one of them was there's too much personal information in this review. And in the review, there was a big picture of our license plate was in the review. So I said,
Yeah.
I said, there's a license plate picture, and this isn't someone who had ever used our services. And within 10 minutes, the review was wiped out and gone.
Gone.
Wow.
Back to 5-star
It
PK
took less than
service.
10 minutes. Less than 10 minutes, I had an email from Google. Someone had looked at the review, agreed that there was personal information in the review, or they had AI do it, and it fucking wiped out the review. I thought this is going to be a pain in my
That's
ass.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought
Like
so
I was
too.
gonna say, like I would be less inclined to use Google reviews if it gave these pieces of shit a platform to fucking just bash my company for nothing, right? But because I mean, we do commercial landscape, and sometimes there are homeowners that aren't paying for your service that have a fucking grief to give you for they didn't like how the sod was rolled out on their fucking boulevard, you know? Like I don't want to give those people a platform because they're not paying for our service. They just happen to be using it because the city hired us as a contractor, right?
So I don't know how to. It would be interesting. I can't do it because maybe Mike can open up his Google reviews and just hit the thing where it says, and it'll tell you all the different reasons why you can delete the review now. Because I know one of them was too much personal information, and that's the one that I clicked because our license plate was in the photograph.
Is it report a review?
Yeah, report a review. Yeah, and I just was like, our license plate is in the photograph or whatever.
So the options are off topic, spam, conflict of interest, profanity, bullying or harassment, discrimination or hate speech, personal information, and not helpful.
Not helpful. What does that cover? Every review that ever got posted.
The description for not helpful is review doesn't help people decide whether to go to this place.
So I would say that almost any review could be not classified as not helpful.
Well, I think any of these could be classified as anything, like hate speech. They hated your company and they left a bad review. You could call that hate speech. Like hate speech covers anything, really. Anything you disagree with is hate speech.
So do you think that
According to a
Google
liberal.
do you think that Google reviews is slowly just going to be all 5-star reviews because people are going to be able to protest any review that isn't a 5-star review?
Well, you can pay to get Google reviews, can't you? There's
Yeah, but
like,
that'll hurt. Yeah, in the long run.
I don't know. What if they
Well,
get
Mike knows
better at?
why. Why does it hurt you to get Google reviews that are paid for, Mike?
So if you do anything like that games the system and Google catches you, you'll never get out of Google's bad books. So like the benefit, the drawback is worse than what the reward could be, or whatever. Replace drawback with a word that makes me sound smarter. But the downfall is worse than what the benefits could be in the long run. Like positive, like the best situation is they don't catch you and you get those reviews and those reviews bring you in leads. The downfall would be you never get out of Google's good or bad books. Your site never ranks, and you don't get any more leads through search engines. And if you pay for reviews, typically they come in all at once. And if you do that, where Google knows how often your reviews are coming in. So if all of a sudden your reviews come in all at once and they pick up certain keywords, or each review has like the same sentence, which is honestly like people who pay for Instagram followers, people who pay for engagement, you see the same words used again and again. And these algorithms pick that out. If I can pick it out, then these algorithms can definitely pick it out, and they'll be able to flag you, and they'll dive deeper into it and knock you down.
Can you pay for YouTube views?
Absolutely. You can pay for anything still. Oh, yeah. Anything you do that's easy, though, is going to hurt you in the long run. It's better to just grind it out, work hard. Yeah. Because anybody that wants to know if somebody's paid for their stuff is very easy. Socialblade.com. It gives you access to everybody's analytics, as long as they're not a private account, and you'll be able to see, based on engagement rates, how much people have paid or not paid for their followers and engagement.
What's an average engagement
for Instagram? The smaller you are, the higher your engagement percentage is going to be. But as you grow, that engagement percentage is going to go down. So like as you're growing and you're like under 1,000 followers, you'll have like a 10% engagement rate. But as you get to like 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 followers, you're going to fall below like a 1% engagement rate. And that's just because over time, people will still remain following you. But like if it takes you 3 years to get to 100,000 followers, the people following you from year one may have just been homeowners and they used you, and now they don't follow you anymore, but they still remain followed and they just don't go on Instagram anymore. Dead accounts, things like that, or just Instagram isn't you pushing you out. So like 0.5%, if you're like over 20,000 followers on Instagram is pretty typical. But if you're getting down to like 0.1%, that raises some red flags. And it's very obvious because you can see charts also of the followers for the past year. And if somebody's paid for their followers, there's a big spike on one specific day or week.
Oh, no. Yeah. I think that's what I got from my
No, but
my
yours is a
video.
bit more obvious because you can tell it's a viral video, right?
Oh, okay.
But and you can go back into people's timelines and say, okay, what was this specifically? Did they post a reel that got millions of views? Yeah. Or did they not post anything and they had a spike in followers, which tells me that combined with their engagement rate, you can pick out these people that have paid for followers very easily.
Yeah, I see people that have like 60,000 followers and they're still getting like 8 likes on every picture.
Yeah.
Although I would say that my engagement rate has dropped, like it just keeps dropping all the time.
Yeah, mine too. I also don't post any like reels or anything like that. I just post photos, but my engagement rate has gone down quite a bit.
Yeah, I used to get, no matter what I posted, it used to get about 100. It would get a minimum of 100 likes, which is about 0.5%, I guess, if I have 20,000 followers. But now it just depends on what it is, I guess. But I have noticed that, like, just general engagement has sort of started to fall off. But I guess it's a very crowded marketplace now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
You know, and I don't have any spinny bucket videos, and that drags me down. So that's a problem right off the hop. Big problem. So Mike's you're saying that the key to this is don't cheat.
Don't take the easy way out. Isn't that like the secret to life and success? Don't take the easy way out.
Generally, yes, that's the secret to life and success. Don't take the easy way out is generally the it's generally accepted that that is the truth, but sometimes I think it just looks like everyone else is having an easier time than you are.
Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
I feel
Yep.
that.
You
Yeah.
know, like you look around and you're like, oh, that guy's doing this or this guy's doing that, or just seems like everyone else is having some easier time than you happen to be in that moment. But somewhere someone's looking at you going, oh, fuck, that must be the setup. I want to know how you deal with the fact there's no 12 grain bagels in Ottawa, Chad, in the Ottawa region.
There isn't. I don't know. I'm
I,
an everything
that's
bagel
what they
type
told
of
me.
guy.
I asked for 12 grain. They acted like I was crazy. So then
Mm.
I asked for a plain bagel with cheddar cheese and butter, and I got a plain bagel with cream cheese.
It must be your Toronto accent. I can't make it
Maybe.
out.
Yeah, could be. Absolutely could be the Toronto accent.
I don't know. I don't know.
Bagel content is highly viewed.
Is it?
People like bagel content. I don't know why. I guess it's kind of everyman content.
It is pretty political.
Everyone gets a bagel. It's always fucked up. No one knows what to do about it. Someone had to take a stand.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And you're the man to take the stand.
Hey, if there's a meaningless cause, I'm all in. I'm fucking all in if there's a meaningless cause. If there's some meaningless cause that we can work on together, I'm 100% in. I have to say I enjoyed the Permacon day. It was a good day.
Yeah, it was fun.
I thought it was a good day. Yeah. They had a nice spread at lunch. They had lots of bacon for breakfast, so those are things that you got to respect. If you're going to throw a day, you got to bring the food.
I got to sit beside the Paver King.
I sat beside
Wow.
Mike. You met Joe from Bloomfields.
Yeah, I got to meet Joe.
Seal It was in the house.
Seal It was there, as well as
Pro Drop was
Pro
in
Drop.
the house.
Yeah.
Pro Drop was in the house.
So, what sponsor did you hammer down then for this podcast?
Pro Drop? I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like the Pro Drop concept is a good concept.
I think in theory it's good. In practice, I don't know how well it'll catch on.
I think it's the idea of delivering materials on demand is a good idea.
Yeah.
I think that the only thing it's about efficiency, it's about getting more efficient, but I think a lot of people who run small landscaping businesses, once they get to the point where they have some guys on site, they want that drive to the supplier.
They do.
You know?
The boss doesn't.
No, I'm saying the boss wants the drive to the supplier.
Oh, the boss, yeah.
That's what
But
I'm saying. If you're a small landscaping guy and you've been working by yourself for 2 or 3 years, or you and one helper, you get to the point there's 3 guys on site that can be trusted that are working hard. You want to run that dirt to the supplier, dump it, and get the gravel to give yourself a fucking break, so you don't walk like me when you're 50.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I think that's the only part of the business model that I think is, but that's just a human nature part. There's not much you can do about it. I mean, it's almost always more economical to get something delivered than it is to do it yourself.
My trouble with like that business model is that it's like adding technology to a business that already exists. So it's not a technology company, even though they might categorize themselves as a technology company. So they own their own trucks. They have to have yard space for those trucks. So you're essentially a supplier without materials on hand. And it would almost work better for at least your bottom line to just outsource everything, but that brings on troubles on all and of itself, right? And then the disruption for ProDrop would be just these suppliers implementing their technology into their business, and then they become the on-demand delivery. So it's like easily disruptible by what's already in place in the market.
So our supplier just put Arnt's just put out a web store where you can get the price of anything they sell right on your phone immediately.
Wow.
Um,
Is this just for contractors or for everybody?
no, it's for contractors and it's tailored to your account.
Okay.
So depending on where I mean, obviously, the more you buy, the bigger your discounts are.
Yeah.
So depending where you are in that chain, I guess it's all tailored. So like when I open up my web store, it has my pricing in it, which I've actually used it a bunch of times. I was pricing jobs on Saturday afternoon before we were in Ottawa, so I was pricing some jobs in the hotel room before we went to dinner, and it was great. Any paver color, any paver menu, you just log on and it tells you how much it would be if there's a splitting fee, how much is delivered. Like it tells you everything. So it's pretty sick.
I like that.
Yeah.
It goes to your shopping cart or whatever, and then you can see how much it would all cost. It's
So
interesting.
now I need suppliers to all come out with something like that I can integrate into my software.
I was thinking about that. I was like, when I was doing it the first few times, it occurred to me, I was like, man, if Mike could integrate this web store into his software, it would make using the software 8 million times easier for me.
Yes.
Because it's already integrated in and all the pricing is there.
Yep.
It just needs to match in. So, but it's hard to do that for me because I use this supplier, but Chad uses a different supplier, and
Yes.
someone else that uses your software uses another supplier. So how you would do it and the problem is in Ontario, the suppliers are all different and all owned by different people.
Yeah.
So unless you were putting in trade, like you could take Conperm trade, Block Techo trade, Lock Uni trade, and put the trade pricing in, and then it would just be apparent upon the contractor in the software to figure out what their discount is off trade.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe they just pay trade. I don't know. Like, but that would be the only. But that's still, I don't know how those lists come out or how you would how that gets integrated in an easy way. Because the other shitty thing is you have to update it every year.
Yes.
Like it's not like but I guess even if people have their pricing in, they would have to update their pricing in your software too.
But there's an easy way to do it. Like it's not that much harder, even though it seems like time consuming. You just email your supplier and ask them for their price list, but in Excel format. And then we have an Excel file that you can just copy and paste it into, and then you can upload that Excel file, and then all your materials are in there.
Oh, see that I don't have those kind of solutions because I'm not a software guy, but that solution seems reasonable.
Yeah. It's just most suppliers give you like a PDF.
Yes.
And then it just takes that extra step that you need to bug your supplier to just send you an Excel file of it. And then you can just copy over the columns and then upload it and you're good. And then you just do that every year.
That seems like something that someone could accomplish, but not me. But it seems a reasonable thing for someone to accomplish.
Yeah.
Not me necessarily, but someone. I like this thing. It works good. It's easy too if I need to look something up while I'm somewhere, or it just saves going through the whole book or whatever. And seems like good technology. Not perfect, but good technology. I'm integrating technology as we speak. Hey, are you guys still there?
Yeah, we're still here.
Oh, okay.
We saw your Paper King logo flash.
Oh, did it come back? I wonder why that comes on there.
I don't know.
Maybe that's what I put in as my screensaver when I put Zoom on my phone. When are you starting, Chad?
It was looking like it was going to be an early season until you told me that we were going to have a snow here tomorrow or the day after, 10 centimeters. But
yeah, but you think 10 centimeters delays your season?
I don't know. There's no snow now, and there's going to be snow in 2 days. Doesn't make it come any quicker, that's for sure.
Well, I'm just saying, when were you?
No, like
When?
April 15th is usually whenever we're chomping at the bit. Like we won't wait any later than that.
To
So
get
even if
rolling?
we get rolling. We'll bust through the frost at that point. A little bit of cursing and swearing will get you started off on the right foot for the season, and we'll
When are
just
you
go with
starting,
that.
Mike?
I will probably be like, mid-April. I'm already getting drainage leads coming in.
Ooh,
Might just be a
everybody's worried about
drainage
drainage.
contractor. Yeah.
At this point, like that's the time of the year, like February. People are like, "Oh, there's so much water on my yard."
Well, especially like we don't have snow, right? So it's all just water
Yeah.
on people's yards. So I've been
Yeah.
getting tons of drainage leads. And then that'll come again. Like I think end of February we're supposed to get lots of snow. Thursday,
Yeah.
and then like in the 14-day forecast at least where it's showing end of February we got lots of snow coming.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm sure March will get snow still.
How much snow is it? Huh. Well, it's hard to get through a whole winter without there being any snow.
Yeah.
Someone emailed us and said they wanted us to start the first week of April, which if we can, I would love to. But
You can go and park the machines there, like, hey, we want to start, and
yeah, it's planting too. So I'm like, if the ground's not, if the ground's frozen, the ground's frozen.
yeah.
I remember my only spring at Con Perm. There was like April had a sudden ice storm. It was this massive ice storm on April 15th, and it was like -10 for a week.
Wow.
It's terrible. Everyone had sort of gotten their shit ready and got ready to go, and it just was like fucking terrible. So, the April's a touch and go month, honestly.
Yeah.
I remember one year we didn't start till like 2 weeks into May.
Oh, I would have been beside myself. I would have
Like
been swearing every day.
Shitty and cold, and commercial's different too. Like if you're counting on someone to be ready for you.
Yeah.
Or if you're picking up a job where you left off last season.
Yeah. Gotta do both of those things.
That's what you're doing first thing in the spring?
Yeah, we're gonna have to get back to that bridge project in Hydroseed because they left the topsoil bare. So God knows we're gonna get all sorts of
that
shit.
bridge project when I was driving to Ottawa.
You would have, going through Brockville, yeah.
I recognized it.
No.
I saw the topsoil, and then when we drove by, I looked down the side and I saw the trees planted in clumps that weren't in the right order, and I was like, "Hey,
the Austrian pines in the
there's those Austrian pines."
Yeah.
You didn't wrap the trees, Chad.
I think that's a hoax.
What, tree wrapping?
Yeah.
Why do you think it's a hoax?
I don't think it does everything that the architect says it does.
You don't think you have a higher death rate if you don't wrap?
Like are you talking about wrapping all like conifers?
Yeah, conifers. Yeah.
No, I've never wrapped conifers. They've been fine.
We always wrap them.
Really? We'll do it if it's the spec, but that had to be one of my worst days ever landscaping. I remember going to a job in Ottawa somewhere, and there's all these giant conifers, and my boss drops us off with a fucking truckload of burlap and
a stick with a nail in it,
a pail of rusty fucking nails, and he said, "Put the panties on these fucking trees. I'll pick you up at 5." And they're like little pieces of burlap, and you're trying to nail them together and make something big enough to wrap around it and then pull it up and stuff. And I was yelling, and it was right beside a school, and fuck, I was mad that day. The guy that I was working with came over. He's like, you got to calm down. He's like, there's a school over here. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a shit. Fuck this. And I was just cursing the whole time.
I would say, I agree with you. Tree wrapping is in the top 5 most hated jobs I have.
It's awful. It's
It's a
terrible.
shit time of year.
Yeah.
The trees are not cooperative.
No.
It takes a certain way to do it.
Cold
You
on the
gotta put.
hands.
You
Yeah.
gotta. We used to at least have long pieces of burlap that
Oh, that
you
might
could
be
at
the
least
key. Yeah.
wrap and wrap and wrap, and then it. We always had a big stick with a nail in it, like an old broom handle, trying to get those ones right at the top.
No,
It
we
was
had like
fucking disaster.
this burlap was like full of mouse piss straight out of the fucking rotten greenhouse. Put it in the back of the
Nice.
truck. Let's go. Try and weave the pieces together.
Oh,
Like it was no, it's got to be up that and the day that my old boss he set the neighbor's field on fire at his shop or at one of his properties, and I had to go and reinstate by planting all these like 2 foot spruce. But it was June and all the grass was high, and I was in shorts, and I started walking through the thing, and it was all stinging nettle.
oh.
Like it was all fucking nettle. Like you couldn't take 2 steps without screaming. And he's like, "Oh, you can use the quad, the 4-wheeler, whatever." And you get on, and it's no better because you're in shorts, and it's just whipping you faster in the fucking
It's just
legs.
driving it in deeper.
Yeah. So when I got out, he's like, I told him I almost quit that day. He's like, "Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have made you do the whole thing without switching with somebody." But it
I
was
think the
that,
worst.
or go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It was that, or the job that the other guys were doing. He was clearing a field for planting. So someone was in the backhoe, and then the other 2 people were running beside the backhoe, throwing rocks in the bucket
Oh
for
my
like
god.
a marathon all day. Like, so I don't know what's worse.
I think the worst. The old boss at Ridge Lake had a cottage that he built, or a house, wasn't really a cottage, on the river in Campbellford. And because you're like building right beside the lake, there had to be like an outlet pipe that went down by the water, and it was for the basement because the sub pump was just going constantly, and they were worried if the sub pump ever let go, the basement would flood. So they wanted to bury this outlet pipe that went all the way down near the river, and it was one of those ones that would only let water out but not let water in. But you had to get to you had to tie it into the weeping tile at the bottom of the basement of the house. So I remember we left that day. It was in December, and we got in the trucks, and it was like snowing sleet and -2 or -3. And I was like, man, and we got all the way up there, and I was like, this is ridiculous. Like you can't even see you're scraping ice off your face. And then he had rented a local backhoe. And when the local backhoe showed up that day, I was like, well, now we're here for the day. And
Yeah.
he dug down the building, and the water was rushing into the hole, and it got to a point where someone just had to climb in there, and I just climbed in and started and I was like up past my waist, and I mean absolutely frigid water. And then another guy climbed in there with me, and we were trying to find, because the pipe's underwater, so your hands are underwater, and you're just trying to put this key pipe on and then run this other. Anyways, in the end, we had to pull the one guy out and get him into the truck because he had frostbite.
Wow.
He was literally done. Like he couldn't. We had to drag him and get him in the truck and then slowly warm him and do all that shit. It was fun. It was the worst. It was one of the
Slowly
worst.
warm him.
Yeah. Like we had to slowly warm this motherfucker. Like fan on 1, fan on 2, fan on 3. Like,
did you guys watch? You ever have to watch that video series in school, The Voyage of the Mimi? You guys
No.
ever hear of this? No. So it's basically like these fucking people who are like shipwrecked or whatever, and they're teaching you like survival skills, I think. It had to be like 30 years ago whenever I saw this. But they're like, some guy had hypothermia, so they get him in his underwear, and then you have to go in the sleeping bag with him and warm him slowly. I feel like
Yeah,
that's the same sort of thing. I can just
that's what
picture
we
you
were.
guys in your underwear in the truck, just warming him slowly.
We had to pull his boots off and dump the water out of them and start warming his feet
Wow.
slowly. It was, dude, it was fucked up. And the guy that owned the company was there the whole time. We're like almost
Like,
dead. Trenches are
wow.
collapsing. You're in a basement. The hole's tiny. It's flooded with water. The hole's collapsing. Get the level on that. Check the level. I'm like, go fuck yourself. What are you talking about? Check the fucking level. It's underwater. I can't even see the pipe. The water is, and the water is just, as soon as you open a hole like that, when everything's under pressure, the water is just exploding in your face. It was a fucked up day. I remember getting home that day being, man, this is fucked up shit. What are we doing? Like, it just, and it wasn't even doing it for a job. It was for this fucking guy's cottage / house, whatever the fuck it was. It was fucked. It was just a
Wow.
fuck. Yeah. It was a, I remember the same time that was going on, there was some other guys there because there was a bunch of us, and they were feeding wood through a window and stacking wood in the basement while two of us were getting hypothermia in the fucking ditch with some redneck guy in a backhoe swinging it around wildly. And all of this is happening in a freezing rainstorm. Like,
Wow.
like, so much unneeded stuff happen. Sometimes I wonder why my body's all fucked up, and then I think about days like that. Like, it's just, I was a fucked up day. I was shitty stuff, man. That was shitty stuff we were doing that day. Another time we had to do all those sapling cuttings.
No,
Stick in the ground. Yeah, saplings or whatever. But
live
we had to
stakes.
do it. Yeah, live stakes. So we had to get the live stakes in like March, but it was still cold. And we had to walk through a plowed farmer's field for 4 kilometers to get to where the live
Oh my
stakes were.
God.
But I don't know if you've ever walked in a frozen plowed farmer's field. It's like horrid. Like every step you take is like awkward and you're falling. But for like 2.5, 3 kilometers, we walked in. And then we would have to carry the thousands of lives.
You got to walk out with buckets.
Walk out with
Full buckets.
That was before everyone had these little fucking cars they have now where they drive them everywhere.
Yeah.
We didn't get none of that fucking shit, man, back in the day.
We did a job with those live stakes last week while I was on the cruise, and they called me. They're like, "Are you sure you want to use this number?" I said, "Well, you're making me second guess it." They're like, "You're half the price of everyone else." I said, "Oh, well, double it, but leave us low." I said, okay. We still lost it, but so,
why do you think you were half the price of everybody else?
Because the tender was very vague. It says use existing brush. Like, you could go into the existing job site and fucking walk 10 feet over and make your own live stakes, right?
Yeah, pillage them right out of the existing.
And then it said and import remaining. I'm like, well, I don't see the fucking site. I don't know what I have to import. So I'm like, well, but if worse comes to worse, I'll just cut them out of my yard. Like, we have thousands of them too, so
Did it say what the diameter? Because when I haven't been one of those things or done one of those things in a long time, but they were becoming really bitchy about the diameter being big enough. So you're almost like cutting the bottom of a dogwood where the diameter is 1 inch around or what. It was such we used to just take the stakes, but then it became like this whole thing.
Yeah, maybe I missed it, but
it's like a huge amount of death to begin with.
Yeah.
So they didn't get it. I'm surprised they wouldn't have just carried your low number.
Yeah, I know they're good for talking it out though. I like that contractor. We don't do much with them, but they're good for talking it out.
At least they're honest about the situation.
Yeah,
because they're looking for low numbers to get their job, right?
Yeah, and some GCs are like that, and some, like, it depends which estimator you get. Like, if they genuinely care for your business not to go tits up, they'll be like, hey, you can do something here. But
well, it's also shitty for them if they carry your number and then you realize
complaining the whole time.
Well, or you just say, I'm not doing the job.
Yeah, that's true.
Like if they carry your number and then you say, "Oh, I can't do it for that because I fucked this up," that's not helpful either. When it's
You know,
off
that
the.
puts everybody in a shitty spot. So
It's one thing if you're 10% or 15% low, then that could just be you're closer, you have more
yeah,
access to things or whatever.
yeah.
Again, how far along is your house?
It's all up. The roof's on, roof shingled. Windows are coming on the 19th. They're trying to put them in on the 20th, I think. So we got a 16-foot window in the front. We don't know how we're gonna get that one in, but it's got to go in somehow. It's like a 600-pound window.
Can't you lift it in with the big excavator? Some straps?
I'm sure we could, but I don't want to be the one to rig up the fucking straps on a 16-foot window. I'd fuck that up, that's for sure.
Well, yeah. And then what happens if the window breaks? Is it your
That's
fault?
it, right? Yeah, like we didn't plan on putting this in ourselves, so let the professional window lifters lift it or whatever. But power should be in soon. We dug the trench, everything's run. They have to pull the power line through 350 feet of conduit. Like,
Is that the picture you posted where you're like, "I'm doing the electrician's job again"?
yeah.
Nice.
So we got all the conduit in there and 100 tons of sand to fill that trench.
Wow.
So yeah,
Did you paint the rims of your truck black?
yeah, we did today. Shane did it. So
Nice.
we'll peel off the frog tape tomorrow, and that truck has to get a wheel seal fixed. So
Yeah.
send it away. Yeah,
All right. Paisley's talk is done. So that's the end of the episode.
great.
All right. That's you want to wait till Paisley gets in?
Should I hit stop
Paisley, we're
recording?
on a podcast.
Oh, we're doing a podcast?
Yeah, the podcast is happening right now because your stalker got in the way of him.
Oh, geez, I'm sorry.
Paisley's story. That's the end of the episode. Bye, guys. Have a